In this video tutorial, we're going to meet the hiragana na, ni, nu, ne, no. This is how we spell or represent these hiragana in romaji. That's na, ni, nu, ne, no. And over here we find the handwritten form. We're going to start off by looking at the hiragana na, and you can see if you compare the printed form, which is of course this column here, then the handwritten form of na is ever so slightly different. It's got one of these breaks. Let's look at that more closely. As always, the stroke order moves from top to bottom to left to right. So here is the top stroke here. You can see this is ever so slightly up the top. Remember, this one doesn't count because it goes all the way down to the bottom. And we're drawing left to right. So this is our first stroke. Ichi, ni, san. And here you find that there is no join in the handwritten version. And shi, our last stroke, is over here. Let's have a look at the mnemonic that we can use to remember this hiragana. Let's think of this hiragana as being a nun. Now nuns, of course, pray every day, and they have to pray to a cross. So here on the left-hand side of our hiragana, we have a cross shape. It's not exactly a cross, well, because it's not really a cross at all, is it? It's a hiragana letter. But it looks similar enough for us, I think, to use it as a mnemonic. So we go across there. Now, instead of going down this way here, we're actually going to make that cross there down, sloping to the left. And perhaps we can think of the nun here on the right as praying so hard that she's actually, with the force of her conviction and her passion, she's actually pushed that downward cross stroke away like that. So there's the cross on the left. Over here we have the nun. Now she's kneeling, and you can see down there that kneeling shape. And on her head, traditionally, nuns don't do it these days, but traditionally nuns used to wear what they called a habit, and that was a headdress to cover their hair. And we can represent that over here with this line, this third stroke. And then here's the nun kneeling down in front of the cross and praying. And of course, if we were to finish that off, we'd have to put her head in here. She's very happy. And here would be her hands, and they of course would be there in prayer. So that would be the nun, that would be her knees, and that would be her foot there. Is that going the right way? Perhaps her foot would be going that way. So there's the nun, that's her headdress there, her habit, and that's the cross there. So it's a nun. Here's our mnemonic, a na, nun, is saying her prayers. And over here is the stroke order, just in case you've forgotten it, starting from, of course, on the left top, and then we go down finally to the bottom here on the right. Let's have a look now at the next hiragana. Our next hiragana is here, ni, N-I in romaji. Here's ni, the printed form, and here's the handwritten form, which looks a little simpler, doesn't it? Starting on the left-hand side for our stroke order, as usual, always drawing from top to bottom, left to right, we go down. Now that kick-off here, again, is always optional. But if you pop it in, it reminds you that actually you're going to be moving up to this top right-hand stroke next. That's your ni stroke, and there's your san. Now the mnemonic for this is quite easy. It's ni for knee. And if you think of that as the left-hand part of your knee, that's the right hand part of your knee, that's the top and bottom of your knee, and the rest of your leg extends down that way and up that way. So it's the left right portion of your leg, and your kneecaps being illustrated there in the middle, and that's knee. Here's the mnemonic, it's a knee, and there's a picture which shows, I think, a side-on picture of a knee, doesn't it? There's the knee protruding there, and that's the top and bottom of the knee. And there's the stroke order there on the left if you've forgotten it. Next we have hiragana nu. Nu, we write that NU in romaji. There it is in its printed form, nu, and its written form is just the same. Now to understand nu and to remember it using my mnemonic, we need to have a look at a bowl of Japanese noodles. Okay, have a careful look at a bowl of Japanese noodles. There are a few features I'd like you to notice. First of all, obviously, being Japanese, we use chopsticks to eat noodles. And here you see the two chopsticks there to eat those noodles. Secondly, you can see that the noodles are in a bowl of broth, and there's an egg. That's actually a raw egg that's been cracked into those noodles, and it's kind of half cooked because it's been put into a very, very hot broth. So this is a bowl of Japanese noodles, and we're going to use this image to remember nu. working from top to bottom and left to right, the first thing that we're going to draw in our nu hiragana is our left hand chopstick, because we're eating noodles with chopsticks, aren't we? So we're going to go down here on the left, and that should be quite a straight line, not a wiggly one. So that's your left chopstick. The next thing we're going to do here is we're going to draw in the right chopstick. Now you and I know that chopsticks should be used in parallel, but the person eating this bowl of noodles is not very good at chopsticks. So there's the second chopstick, and that's crossing over, which you never ever do with chopsticks. Now, touching on and without removing our pencil from the page, we're now going to add the noodle. And to get a good shape, we're going to make a kind of triangle there in the corner. That gives us a good shape. So that's our noodle. And we're going to take that noodle all the way around like that. That's our noodle. And this is the egg that we have cracked and dropped into our hot bowl of noodles. So there's the egg at the bottom. So we've got left hand chopstick, that's the one we start with. Right hand chopstick, because we always go left to right in Japanese. Right hand chopstick coming down, pen still on the paper, up we go and around for our noodles, and there is our egg. That's nu for noodles. Here's our mnemonic, a bowl of noodles with 2 chopsticks and an egg. Don't forget the egg. Next we have hiragana ne. We represent that in romaji by writing ne, ne. And here's the handwritten form, which you can see is very similar to the printed form, ne. And let's check it out. Now the hiragana ne starts with a classic first 2 strokes, and this same pattern will be used in 2 other hiragana, so we're going to use a similar story to remember it. The first stroke goes straight down here, and I generally think of that as the number 1, although sometimes it can be slightly different things as well, but basically it's number 1. Then across the number 1 we write the number 7. Now that's the classic starting point of 3 different hiragana, including ne. Now we're going to use these 2 strokes to think of 1 down here is 1 tree, because this hiragana we're going to remember using the English word nest. Now a nest, of course, is in 1 tree. So there's our 1 tree. Now in this little nest there are 7 little birds. So it's a very big family of birds, this one. So 1 tree, 7 birds. And then if we go up to the top of the nest and we look down into the nest, we will see there's also an egg. There's another egg in the nest. So we've got 1 tree, 7 birds, climb up to the top of the tree, look down into the nest, and there's an extra egg. And that's ne for 7 little birds and an egg in a nest. Here's your mnemonic, a nest in a tree with 7 little birds and 1 egg. Remember, we draw the tree down first, then we write the number 7, then we go up to look in the nest, we peer down into the nest, and there's our egg. Ne for nest, ne. Finally, we have no. There it is. It's represented in romaji with the letters N-O, no, and here's our handwritten form. Now the stroke order for this couldn't be easier. We're starting at the top. It's all 1 stroke. We go across, and then again when we do this circular shape, move up to the left and then move that way in a kind of a triangular shape, and that gives you that really beautiful, beautiful shape. And here we have no. Now I'm going to use a slightly smaller pen to indicate how this could be a nose, not for nose. First of all, we're going to put in the pig's head. We're going to put 2 pig ears, 2 pig eyes. There we are. And there is the piggy nose. There we are. 2 holes to breathe through. That's no. And let's just finish. And let's just finish off our piggy by giving him some legs and a piggy tail. There we are. And I think you can see that that's not for nose, a pig's nose. There's your mnemonic, a pig's nose. And that's nani nu ne no.